Hi everyone, it's Mrs. Fowler here. Today I want you to explore different ways to create a water effect. To do that, you can have a look at some of the photos and artworks of water that we've been looking at, including ones from our books that we've read, and have a little think about how the artist might have created these water effects. You get to use drawing and painting to do some mark making on your paper. You've got mixed media to use, so we've got our oil pastels and our liquid watercolours today. And I want you to experiment with making water effects. So I want you to play. So today if you're playing, you're going to be successful. So I want you just to explore and play with different ways to make water. So the first thing that I want you to do is to divide your page into sections. So we've got A3 paper today, and I'm going to fold it in half, making sure my corners are touching. Then I'm going to fold it in half again, making sure my corners are touching. And then I'm going to do one more fold in half to make sure my corners are touching. Press down on that crease and then open your paper back up. So you have divided your page into eighths, and you should have 8 sections here that you can paint in. So I'm going to be playful. I wonder what I'm going to do first. I know, I'm going to start with my oil pastels to create a resist effect. I think the first thing I want to try and create is a bubble effect. So I'm going to do lots of little circles. And then I'm going to paint over it with my blue. Now I'm going to explore making wavy lines. And I'm going to let my different wavy lines overlap each other. I'm going to go over my oil pastel to create a resist effect, and I'm going to make my paint lighter at the top and go to a darker blue at the bottom. For this one I'm going to use my white oil pastel to do another resist effect, and I want it to look like a puddle, so I'm going to have ripples that move out from the middle to the outer edge, and I'm going to do that by making concentric circles. Circles that are inside circles, inside circles, inside circles. For my fourth one, I'm going to use wavy lines again, but instead of using oil pastels, I'm going to use the different types of blue paint that I have. This time I'm going to lay my oil pastel on its side and rub with it, rather than drawing with the end. I'll then paint over the top of it. I'm going to use my harmonious or analogous colours for this one. That's my light and my dark blue, as well as a bluey purple and a bluey green. I'm only going to use my paint this time. Now I'm going to sprinkle some salt over the top of my wet paint. It's going to create a really interesting effect when it's dry. It's going to work best though if I sprinkle my salt on the parts that are very wet. For this one, I've put down a layer of paint and I'm gently tapping my brush with a darker colour to create some little splat effects. I have to be very careful doing this, make sure I've got my paint shirt on and that my splats are only going in the small area that I want them to be in. If my page is too wet and it's got little puddles on it, I can very gently blot it with a tissue. So I lay the tissue on, give it a pat, and then gently lift it up. I can then use a clean part of my tissue to try that again. This will take off any excess moisture. I'm going to go back to using a resist technique from my last one. I'm going to do squiggly lines all over it with the oil pastel and then cover it with some paint.